Hey guys, this is Red and Blue, the channel on YouTube for all things PSG in English. Please subscribe. Today, let's talk about this Bayern Munich win. PSG qualified for the semi-final of the Club World Cup, beating Bayern 2-0 at the end of a gritty, really hard-fought game. Played at a pretty high competitive level, I would say, given the time of the season. Obviously, a lot of things to talk about. Like I said, we won 2-0. First goal by Desiré Doué, I think 78th minute, and then Dembele scoring the second one in extra time. I think 90th plus 5 or plus 6. A game that was at 0-0 for a long time, and where both teams were kind of, giving it back to each other. I think on balance, I would say that Bayern maybe slightly dominated us. I went into this game, if you remember the preview, saying that a lot of it was going to depend on physical fitness and where the two teams are. I think, as I feared, Bayern Munich were probably a little bit above us in that department. And so they applied a very high press to us. They really challenged, our midfield and also our defense in terms of their ability to progress the ball forward and get out of that press. We saw from PSG as well quite a few technical mistakes, players that aren't necessarily in sync. So it wasn't quite as smooth as what we've seen in some other games in the past. Ultimately, Bayern had a few chances. Donnarumma pulled out a lot of great stops. We also had a few opportunities through Barcola, through Kvara. Didn't really, even through Dembele when he came on the pitch, didn't really make the most of it. So really tense game. Very tough physically as well. Obviously, we'll talk about Musiala injury and the craziness at the end of the game. But yeah, PSG, I think showed a side that we're not so used to seeing that often, which is a really gritty ability to defend, ability to take in the pressure applied by the other team, ability to sit low and just burst and ultimately get the win. I think for me, I was reminded a bit at some point of, and I think French people will remember that, but the World Cup semi-final in 2018 that France played against Belgium, and I think it was the same kind of game where Belgium was probably slightly superior to us on the pitch and slightly dominating. In the end, both teams have their chances, and France manages to score on a corner kick and take away the win 1-0. And I think it's, I remember this one because I remember the Belgian team were usually frustrated because they felt they were the better team on pitch. And I think it's kind of a lesson that you have to learn, that in this kind of competition, you need to be able to win games even when you're not necessarily the better team on the pitch by a mile. And I think PSG has been able to show that side this season, especially since the Liverpool game. And it bodes really well in this sort of tournament because you need to be able to progress sometimes, even when it's not entirely deserved. History only remembers the winner anyway. And for a team that's so young, with a lot of players who are on their first or second season playing at that level, it's great to see that they have this sort of mentality, this sort of grit, and this sort of ability to sit tight when things get rough, bounce back at the end of the game, score on one of their few opportunities, and just take the win home. So something great to see. And then I think going into a bit more details, tactically, what worked or didn't work. Like I said, I was very, very impressed with the Bayern press. I think they did a fantastic job, especially in the first half, of containing Vitinha's influence. I think Vitinha really, really struggled to get control of the ball, organize himself, and create enough time for himself to be able to move the ball forward. And I think if you combine that with, like I said, a few technical errors and a few mispasses and so on, it really made it difficult for us to get the ball out of defense. We managed to do it a few times in the first half and a little bit more consistently in the second half. But yeah, that press of Vitinha was pretty much nightmare scenario for a good chunk of the game, and something that we struggled with. I think in defense, our defense did what they had to do. They also really struggled to get the ball out. it felt like there was a little bit of a disconnect in terms of like finding players up front above a virtual line that would pass through in front of Vitinha, Hakimi, and Nuno Mendes. I think sometimes you would see Joao Neves drop deep and kind of come help, which definitely did help. You see in the first half, I thought Barcola was outstanding in his ability to play the ball out of defense and help with one touch passing or really short passing or like even coming down deep to get the ball and running forward with it a little bit. So really exploiting that. But beyond that, I saw like the influence of Doue on the right and Gvara on the left was a little bit under what we've seen them do in other games, and so it made it very, very difficult for us. I think like it's one of the things that I remember from the Champions League final against Inter, was that we had this ability to get the ball out of our defense by playing triangle shapes on the left, but also mostly on the right. And there was like a little combo of passing between Vitinha or Joao Neves out of midfield, Doué and Hakimi. And I remember talking about like Doué dropping deep to create space up front for Hakimi and Hakimi running into it. And with a triangle of passing and a space opened up, the ability to move the ball out very quickly. Bayern came very prepared for that, obviously, and so that's something we didn't really manage to do as much. And then I think defensively, Bayern had their chances, but that said, like it felt like our defense was pretty solid. Nuno Mendes had a good game against Olise, even if Olise like really created a lot of opportunities out of the right flank of Bayern. But ultimately, like all of the things that they created, I guess there's a couple of like really big opportunities. They get a couple of goals disallowed for very obvious offsides. So it was very, very mature defending and very in control. Donnarumma obviously has a good game as well. Pacho has a good game until his red card. So yeah, everyone was playing a good game defensively, and it was really like the grit of fighting against that Bayern press and getting the ball out. And yeah, when we didn't really manage to do that, sitting tight and making sure that their chances aren't going in. So that was good. In terms of the goals that we scored, I think the first one is just like such a trademark PSG move, and I think that's where like at the end of the second half, there's probably tiredness coming into play on the Bayern side, and maybe like a little bit of mental drain as well, given the events of the game. But Kane loses the ball to a great Joao Neves challenge about in the middle of the field. Joao Neves moves forward, passes it to Hakimi on the right, who holds the ball a little bit, passes it back to Joao Neves, who throws defender within their own area, and then passes it back to Doué, control, puts it on his left foot, and shoots. He kind of like, I think Neuer is a bit masked, doesn't really see the ball, but he's expecting a curl shot to his far post, and Doué actually puts it on the floor in his near post. So he's completely surprised by where the shot is going, and that's 1-0. And yeah, like just the way you get from a high press, getting the ball like in the half of Bayern Munich, moving it forward very quickly, Hakimi and Joao Neves combining, and ultimately like Doué dropping in deep into space, getting the ball and just concluding is yeah, it feels very trademark now. And then the second one, like my God, like I'm a huge fan of Dembele's season. I think the impact that he's had for us this season is like cannot be understated, and I think he's like absolutely deserves the Ballon d'Or. There's no question in my mind at all about that. But my God, Hakimi, what a player! I think I say that at every video, but Hakimi, what a player! My God, like the slalom he does amongst 3 defenders, and we're playing 9 men against 11 at that point on the pitch, so we're like really struggling to hold the score and so on. It's the 90th plus minute of a really rough game at the end of a rough tournament, at the end of a long season, and yet he still has the energy for like that bit of magic. Passes it back down to Dembele. Dembele misses a big opportunity like literally seconds before, but the second time doesn't really miss his chance. He puts a great shot, actually. Like I think we understate this, but it's not. I mean, obviously Hakimi has done a lot of the work and he lays it back down and he gets like a really open shot. But it's not like he's not in 6 meters and it's not an average goalkeeper in front of him. So Dembele like puts a perfect shot with quite a lot of power, like really near the post, out of reach for Neuer. And yeah, in second goal like this, I think 80% of the work is done by Hakimi, if not more. But yeah, that finishing from Dembele is really solid. And if you compare to the Dembele that we had in the past in his career, where he's sometimes very inconsistent, sometimes mentally he's not all there, and so on. This time he misses a big opportunity, like really seconds before, and we're just 1-0 up with two guys who have taken red cards, and it's really tense, and it's really like it feels like the game can turn at any second. He doesn't doubt. He puts exactly like the right shot in the right place at the right time. So kudos to him to that. And yeah, it takes us home. I think the referee obviously like played this part as well in a way that like I don't want to complain about it because I think ultimately it's really hard to argue against the individual decisions. But it feels like he lacked a little bit of adaptability and kind of communication a little bit. It feels like when you like the Pacho red card to me is like it's unfortunate, but it's really like I can't argue against it. Like he's clearly very late to the challenge. It's put like the bottom of his soul against the leg of Goretzka. It's a red card. There's no question about it. And like I think that's where you see also that the players are very tired because we're talking about a player who went through the whole Champions League season without getting even a yellow card. So it's not like Pacho is a tough defender, but he's not aggressive in the way he plays, in the way Lucas Hernandez is sometimes, by example. And so to me, it's really just like he's tired at the end of the game, at the end of the season, and like he's a bit late. He makes the wrong decision for it. He's not completely there. I mean, his decision making is not happening in the right way at the right time. And to me, that's just clearly a sign of tiredness. But so red card at this point, can't argue against this. We're 1-0 up. There's basically 5 minutes remaining. Tough because like Pacho is such an essential part of the team, but it's the way it goes. Let's close down the game, get to the end of it, and we'll figure it out later. The one after this, honestly, like I have a lot more difficulty with it. So the Hernandez red card essentially is fighting, I think, against Olise, who's trying to challenge him for the ball. Hernandez is in possession, is running in from the left flank of defense towards the inside and trying to find a little bit of space to pass the ball to one of his teammates and kind of keep the ball. And he has this very like unfortunate movement of really like kind of shoulder to shoulder, but he does a move like this with his elbows that goes in Olise's face, and yeah, like I mean, elbow to the face, it's a red card. There's no like discussing it. It's not a strong one by any means. It's not like the player is injured or like I think particularly in pain. I think it's more a gesture of like get off my back and like give me some space and like because I've got the ball and you're not gonna get it anyway. But yeah, it's you like I mean a defender like Hernandez who's experienced, he's a world champion, he's played for Bayern years and years, he's been with PSG for a while now. He's I think like 29, nearly 30 years old. You should know better than doing that, man. I'm annoyed as well because I really like the physicality that he brings to his game. And when he came on board and kind of took that left flank and Nuno Mendes moved a little bit of the pitch, it felt good because he was actually like, pushing back on Olise in a way that like Olise hadn't gotten from Nuno Mendes throughout the game, and which really like made Olise consider trying to dribble, and a couple of times made him like just pass back the ball and not try to challenge, which was nice to see because it was a danger throughout the whole game. But yes, that particular challenge, it's like you should be more experienced or experienced enough to not do shit like this, and especially when we're already like one man down. It's in front of the referee as well. Referee sees it, gives a red card, and like I think like I'm a PSG fan, so I would definitely argue that a yellow card would have been enough in light of the fact that there's only a few minutes to play. It's not like a really like strong elbow or anything. He didn't break his nose, he didn't break anything. It's more like movement of get off my back. And that's where I think like the referee maybe could have been a little bit more communicative, a little bit more lenient, I guess. But yeah, it's like the gesture is there, so it's really hard to argue anyway. It puts us in a really difficult situation. I think it puts us in a really difficult situation for the semi-final as well, because obviously, like, both Pacho and Hernandez aren't going to be able to play that game. I don't know if they'll be back for the final or not if we qualify, but yeah, like, problem for later anyway. So at that point, like, we're 9 against 11. It feels like the game is ready to slip through our fingers because we're only 1-0 up. We have that moment of brilliance from Hakimi and Dembele, and we go 2-0 up. There's still a thing about like potential penalties that VAR ultimately cancels, and we get away with the win 2-0. So, like, yeah, craziness at the end of the game, but it is what it is, and yeah, like, I think like I I I think Hernandez should know better. I think Pacho is just tiredness, and it's too bad. Honestly, it's too bad. And then the other kind of, you know, shocking thing that happened was obviously that Musiala injury at the close of the first half. He goes in. I think like against Pacho, I want to say, tries to get the ball back at like really near the line of going out of field. Um, Donnarumma comes in and tries to grab the ball, and I think like in the shuffle, like, grabs the ball, grabs the player, grabs everything, and everything goes. And his ankle gets broken in the most horrible way. Honestly, you can see it straight away, and the image is really shocking. Um, I think it's a tough one because, like, in a way, like, I guess, like, you know, you don't want to see this kind of outcome on a football pitch. Obviously, like, it's just such a shocking injury to a great player. You absolutely do not want that. At the same time, like, I I I think like 99%, like, Donnarumma doesn't really like have any blame on this one. He's just doing his job and trying to get his ball. At the same time, he's like a 2 meter high, like 100 kg goalkeeper. So when he goes down on someone, like, it's a lot of mass and energy going in. The pitch isn't great. Like, and Musiala is just coming back from injury, so he's probably not at his peak athleticism anyway. Like, there's a lot of things going into it. Could Donnarumma have held off, played it differently? Like, maybe, but once again, we're at the end of the first half, so there's probably like not as much lucidity and clarity thinking as there would be at the beginning. I don't think. I mean, like, Bayern Munich doesn't even get a foul or a penalty for it, so like the referee doesn't think there's a foul in the first place, and VAR doesn't either, or they would have brought it back. So yeah, I think it's a hard but fair challenge, which could have been played differently, and I think with a lot of things going into it. It looks like Musiala is going to be out for, like, Bayern is saying, like, probably 4 to 5 months, which is rough. Like, takes us until like Christmas time essentially. Like, he's going to miss all of the first half of the season. He's just coming back from, I think, 3 months out. Yeah, I hope they fix him up okay. And yeah, like, I hope we don't see any injuries like this to the rest of the competition, because yeah, it's hard games played at the highest level with a lot of physical intent and so on at the end of the season in conditions where, like, the players shouldn't really be playing anymore. So sadly, that's kind of what everyone was fearing might happen in this competition. It's just happened, and it falls on Musiala, and it's sad because he's such a great player and such a, you know, someone that everyone likes to see play ultimately. So yeah, and then, like, a couple of individual performances as well. Joao Neves was outstanding. I think he did really well. Vitinha, like I said, was more challenging, and I think he had more difficulty against the Bayern press. Did better in the second half though. Nuno Mendes had a really good game. I thought against Olise, even if Olise really gave him a hard time. I'm completely, like, disorganized. I'm doing it like every position now. So yeah, Nuno Mendes did well. Let me do the defense. Pacho, I thought, was amazing. I thought he had really a standard game until the point where he gets the red card, and it's really too bad because it puts a really, like, a big dampener on his performance. Marquinhos, I felt, was not as strong, and obviously, like, when we're having difficulty moving the ball up pitch from defense, a lot of that is Marquinhos' responsibility. So I thought he was less impressive. At the same time, I really liked at the end, like, when we were like 1 man down and then 2 men down, you can see him, like, juicing up pumping up his partners and, like, screaming on pitch and, yeah, guys, we're gonna make it, like, let's hold, and, like, you know, so really, like, behaving as a leader in a way that it's oftentimes been criticized, so it's kind of great to see. Hakimi, I thought was a bit mixed. Obviously, he's got that amazing moment of brilliance on the second goal. Still a lot of activity on his right flank, but also some misses in getting the ball out. I think sometimes like Coman really like challenged us on that left field. I thought it was interesting actually because sometimes it felt like it was always like one of the midfielders who was dropping back to cover Coman when Hakimi was not that far. So I think they were probably quite worried about him. Ultimately, like he created some stuff, but not that much. So I think we did a pretty good job of closing him down. But yeah, I mean, like it's hard to criticize anything about Hakimi because that guy is just he's such an amazing player anyway. Donnarumma, I like I think it's not only him and Pacho and so on, but there's quite a few of our players where I'd say like, did a lot of good and had like a really solid game, and then like just one moment puts everything into question. And so obviously for him, it's that moment with Musiala, but the rest of the game is really solid. He does like a couple of really impressive saves, and keeps us in play until we score at the 80th. So like, great game with one moment where maybe things could have gone differently. So once again, hard to blame him. Fabian Ruiz, I thought had a really like not so great game. And I think like he really like in the challenges that we had getting the ball out, is one of the players that I felt could have done a lot more. I think pressure was applied on him very well by Bayern, but I think he never really found his space on the pitch and his place in the game, and the rhythm of it. And I think it's really as strong as our midfield is. I think when we've got one player who's playing below their usual level, it shows very quickly, and I think that was the case here. Kvara up front created a lot, had some really interesting chances, but I come back to what I said in the previous game, which is I really wish he was more clinical. It feels like that big chance he has in the first half that Neuer saves, obviously amazing saves from Neuer, but he should have buried that. And there's a couple of times where like, he dribbles past 1-2 defender, takes a shot, and just like, he's not clinical in his finishing. It feels a little bit like vintage Dembele before Dembele got a lot more clinical, so hopefully it's something that Luis Enrique can help him improve. Because otherwise he's creating a lot and just such a quality technical player. Barcola, I thought was interesting. I really like what he contributed on the pitch, like both against Miami and in this game. Like I said, like really dropping deep to help get the ball out, making runs at the defense, really like pressing on Neuer, like doing it all. So I thought it was really interesting. He's also missing a big chance that he really should have buried at that level. So there's also that little bit of question mark around his goal scoring. But I thought on balance it was a pretty good game. And then Doué was interesting because I saw a lot of comments saying he had a fantastic game. Obviously, he gets the Man of the Match award at the end of it. Personally, I really didn't think so. I think he was falling back into that trap of like trying to do too much on his own. He gets the first goal, and at the time, it really felt to me that was gonna be, like the little sweet piece that was gonna cover the rest of his game. So I don't know if that's the case, or like maybe I need to watch the game again. But it felt like, it wasn't helping as much get the ball out. He was like trying to do too much, losing balls and so on. Once or twice he holds the ball and allows the full team to move upfield, but I was like too little, too rarely. So I don't know. Like, let me know what you guys thought. But I was a bit iffy about his game. And then the last one I wanted to touch on, like Dembele comes on the pitch and literally the game changes. So that's why I'm saying, like, to me, like even if Hakimi is at sky high level, like there's no doubt in my mind that Dembele deserves the Ballon d'Or because he made such an impact as soon as he steps on the pitch. It's to me really amazing. He gets a couple of chances that he doesn't score, but he's there. He keeps going. He scores the second one. And he helps his teammates a lot. He's getting the whole block to move up when they're 9 against 11 to try to press on Bayern. He has that like cheeky moment where he goes on the floor and like pretends he has cramps or something when he's only been on the pitch for 10 minutes trying to get some time. I saw a German fan in the comments of a YouTube video were like absolutely horrified by this. I'm like, man, like everyone would do that, but so it was really cheeky of him. So yeah, hopefully like that next game against Real Madrid, he can be a starter and really bring that sort of impact for the full 90 minutes. So yeah, that was it for me. Obviously, Real Madrid is next now. That game will be, I think, Wednesday night French time, Wednesday afternoon US time. So we have a few days again. We're gonna be moving up to New York to play that. So the semifinals and the finals are played there. Yeah, Wednesday night is correct. So we're going to be moving up to New York, playing against Real Madrid in the semi-final of the Club World Cup, in a game that I think everyone was hoping would happen at some point. We'll have obviously a lot of time to talk about it, so I'm not going to get into it now. But yeah, we're getting to the final stage of the competitions, and we're essentially 2 games away from the win, and with a team who seems to be like, even if the fitness is getting harder and harder, even if the opponents are getting stronger and stronger, still has that ability to pull that little bit of something special to go through, that little bit of spirit, that little bit of plugs, that little bit of team cohesion and so on. So that's great to see. It's really like what we live for. So we'll see what the semi-final bring, but for now, like I'll just end it there. So yeah, please like this video. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the game, if any players stood out. What did you think of the Musiala thing and the red cards and so on? What did you think of Doué? Really got a question mark on this one. I'm very curious. I think people in the comment have been generally like quite in line with me, saying sometimes he's just like trying to do too much and playing for the camera and so on. So like, I don't want to be too rough on him either, because he's still a young player, but yeah, it felt a little bit like not so great in this game. Let me know what you thought. Please subscribe to the channel. We've just crossed 100 subscriber, which I know for me personally, watching a lot of YouTube doesn't sound like that much, but honestly, like it's so great to see, and I'm so amazed to see everyone engaging and happy for this content that I'm putting out. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I've got plans for this channel. I'm in it for the long haul, so please subscribe if you're not already, for more PSG content in English right here on YouTube. And don't forget, ici c'est Paris!